Hello guys, once again welcome back to another Android app development tutorial. In this video here I am going to show you how to share the same options menus for multiple activities. So we can start with a new Android Studio project. So here the project is created. So first we are going to remove the default action bar from this application. So go to styles.xml, change the theme into no action bar. Now instead of action bar we are going to use a toolbar. So create a separate layout file for the toolbar. Now specify the layout attributes for the toolbar. Now specify the background, color primary. Now specify elevation. Now specify an ID for the toolbar. Finally specify theme for it. So now the toolbar layout is ready. Now we need to add the toolbar to the activity main.xml. So I changed the root element into linear layout. Now add the toolbar here. Okay, now the toolbar available. Now we are going to set this toolbar as the supported action bar. So create variable for the toolbar inside main activity. Now initialize that variable. Now set support action bar into toolbar. Okay, so in this project now I'm going to create an additional activity. So create another activity. I name it as second activity. Now specify the layouts for the second activity. Okay, here also we include the toolbar. Now in order to identify this activity, add a text view. Now specify the attributes for the text view. Okay, now set the toolbar for the second activity also. Okay. Now inside activity main.xml, place a button for start the second activity. Specify the onClick method into start second activity. Okay, now implement this method inside main activity. From this method we can start the second activity. Okay, now we can run the project. So here we have a button available on the main activity, start it. So here also we have same application bar for the two activity. So now we are going to add the options menu for the two activity. We are going to use the same options menu for the two activities. So first here I am going to add the vector assets for the options menu items. Now add another item called the search. Okay, so now we can create the menu resource file. So create another Android resource file called app bar menu. Okay, this is a menu file. Now we can add the menu items. So here specify an additional XML namespace. It is resource auto. Okay, now we can add the menu items. Add the first item. Specify ID for it. Now specify the icon. Now specify the title. Now specify the show as action into if row. That means if there is enough space, this method will appear. Now specify another item. Specify ID into action search. Now specify the drawable resource. Now change title into search. Now add the another item, action settings. No icon needed. Change the title into settings. Okay, I changed this one into never. Okay, now the menu file is ready. Now we are going to create a separate activity class for the options menu. I name it as options menu activity, and this class extends app compact activity. So in this method you have to override only two methods, on create options menu and on options item selected method. Okay, so from this method we can inflate the menu. So create variables for menu inflator. Now inflate the menu. Now pass the menu and return true from this method. Now we can handle the menu click events from this method using a switch case statement. Now specify each case. Now create a separate method for display a message to the user. So this method needs only one parameter, message. Now display the message using a toast. Okay, now we can specify each case statements. If it is cast, display message to the user, cast option selected. Return true. Now specify the second case. If it is search, search option selected. Now specify the final item, settings, settings option selected. Now specify the default, select option default. In that case, return the super implementation of the method. Okay, so now the main activity need to extend that particular class called the options menu activity. For the second activity also the same thing. Second activity also extends our own activity class called the options menu activity. Okay, now we can run the project. So here for the main activity we have only the two options menu items available. The click events also working fine. The settings available on the overflow menu. Now for the second activity also we have the same options menu, two menu items. Here is the settings. Here also the click events are working fine. So in some situation you want to add some additional menu item for an activity. Now I am going to show you how to add a special item for an activity. So we are going to add an additional menu item for the second activity. So for that, first here I am going to add some vector asset. So create a new vector asset. I'm going to add a share option. Okay, so now I'm going to create a separate menu resource for the second activity. So second activity options menu. Okay, so now we can add the menu items. So now we can add the menu item. So here it is action share. Now change the icon into action IC share. Now change title into share. I change this one into always. Okay, so this is the options menu for the second activity. So go to second activity. Here you have to override the on create options menu. Now inflate the menu, get menu inflator. So for inflate the first menu you have to implement the superclass implementation of the on create options menu. So this will implement the previous menu, then we have to inflate the additional item. So inflate it, and finally return true from this method. Now we can implement the click listener for the item. So add the on options item selected method. If it is equal to actions share, that case display a message to the user. Share option is selected. Okay, return true from this method. Now implement the default implementation. In that case, return super implementation of this method. Okay, now run the project. So this is the main activity. We have only three options menu items available. Now go to the second activity. Here we have an additional menu item available called share. So here also the click events are working and the remaining items available on the overflow menu. So this is how we share the same options menu for multiple activities in Android. I hope you understand the concept.